It's quiet tonight, a calm, warm, salty breeze off the ocean. I can think now about the things my grandmother once told. My eyes glow with an inner light as shadows walk around me, not noticing that I am here. I can't say when it started. Maybe the first crack in the world opened the moment those kids stepped where they shouldn't have. The grave of Marie Laveaux, deep in St. Louis Cemetery. No. 1. Children playing mambo. Children playing with spirits older than the city itself. In one wrong chant. One broken line of an old Yoruba prayer. That's all it took for the veil to tear. After that, New Orleans started breathing strange. Lights flickered in houses with no electricity. Dogs barked at corners where nothing stood. And in the Lower Garden District, something priceless went missing. Something that belonged to Madame Laveaux herself. That's when the NOPD called me. BAZE, 40 years old, born in the 7th Ward. Psychic, vote wizard. The man they call when the dead start walking sideways. I should have known the moment I stepped into that house. The air felt wrong. Too cold, too still, like the walls were holding their breath. I barely had time to whisper a protection verse before the thing hit me. A shadow with hands like hurricane winds. Next thing I knew, I was airborne. Glass shattered. My back hit the lawn hard enough to rattle my teeth. The world spun. The night groaned. And somewhere inside that house, something laughed in a voice that wasn't human. I pushed myself up, blood in my mouth, dirt on my palms. And then it happened. My eyes lit not with anger, not with fear, but with the power of my African ancestors. Roaring awake inside me like a storm that had been waiting generations to be called. The spirits were here, the veil was open, and whatever those children unleashed, it wasn't done with me yet. I brushed the dirt off my clothes, shook the glass out my hair, and drove home with my ribs aching and my pride bruised. Sleep wasn't rest that night, it was a doorway. Because the moment I drifted off, my grandmother stepped into my dream, like she just walked in from the kitchen. Her eyes were stern, her voice was soft-thundered or bassy. Seek out Madame Laveau's ghost for counsel. She waits for you, child. I woke up gasping, heart pounding like a drum in Congo Square. The clock read 3 a.m., the hour when spirits walk closest to the living. So I got in my car and drove through the quiet streets of New Orleans, past shotgun houses and sleeping oaks, until the cemetery gates rose before me. Like the jaws of some ancient beast, St. Louis Cemetery, no. One home of the Queen. I stepped inside with a candle, a bottle of rum, and a prayer half remembered from childhood. The fog rolled in thick, swallowing the moonlight. Smoke curled around my legs like hands guiding me forward. I stood before her tomb, cracked, marked, powerful, and called her name. Madame Laveaux, Mambo Queen. I seek your counsel. The air changed. The fog twisted. The smoke thickened. And then she stepped out of it, a beautiful Cajun woman, skin glowing like candlelight, eyes sharp enough to cut through lies and souls alike. She looked young but old, gentle but dangerous, alive but absolutely not living. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came out. My throat locked. My spirit trembled. She smiled slow, knowing, amused. Well, child, don't just stare. Tell me, what's your need of me? The cemetery fell silent. Even the dead leaned in to listen. My mouth was dry as river dust. Marie Laveau's ghost stood before me, glowing, calm, powerful, like she'd been expecting me since the day I was born. I swallowed hard, bowed my head, and finally found my voice. Mambo, something's been unleashed. Something tied to you. Children cast a spell at your grave, a broken one, and now the city's stirring with shadows I've never felt before. The NOPD called me because something was stolen from the Lower Garden District. They said it belonged to you. I need to know what it was, and what's hunting me because of it. I was thrown through a window tonight by something I couldn't see. It laughed at me, Mambo. It laughed like it knew my name. I stepped closer, voice low. Tell me what they took. Tell me what those children awakened. And tell me how to stop it before New Orleans becomes a feeding ground for the dead. And then she spoke. Let me show you how she reveals it quietly, painfully, with the weight of a mother who never got to speak her truth. Marie Laveaux didn't answer right away. The fog around us slowed, thickened, like even the spirits were holding their breath. Her eyes, bright a moment ago, dimmed with something I'd never expect from the Queen of New Orleans. Sadness. She turned her face slightly, as if listening to a memory only she could hear. When she finally spoke, her voice was softer than the night air. Obasi the walker without a shadow. He was not always a monster. Her hands trembled just once, before she steadied him. Before the hunger took him, before the curse twisted his soul. He was my son. The cemetery groaned, stones shifting under the weight of her confession. My breath caught in my throat. Marie continued, eyes shining with a grief older than the city itself. I bore him in secret, a child born of love and danger, a child the world was not ready for. His father was a powerful conjurer, too powerful, and our union brought forth a spirit touched by both light and shadow. Her voice cracked. When he grew, the shadow grew with him. He sought immortality to escape the darkness inside, but the ritual devoured him instead. The fog curled around her feet like morning cloth. I could not kill my own blood, so I bound him, locked him beneath the city, hid the truth from every living soul. She looked at me not as a queen, but as a mother. And now, because of a broken spell and a stolen charm, my son walks again. Not as the boy I loved, but as the hunger that wears his face. The wind howled through the tombs. Marie stepped closer, her voice trembling with both warning and plea. Obasi Baptiste, you must stop him. But know this, you are not fighting a demon. You are fighting a mother's greatest sin. Marie Laveau's face shifted, grief, resolve, and something like fear flickering beneath her calm. She lifted her hand and traced a slow circle in the fog. Symbols formed, glowing, ancient, shifting like smoke caught in moonlight. To find my son, she said, you must walk where the living and the dead share breath. I swallowed. The crossroads. She nodded. But not the ones men pave with asphalt. I speak of the spiritual crossroads, the place between heartbeat and silence. The fog thickened, swirling around her feet. Marie stepped closer, her voice low and urgent. You will need 3 things, Obasi Baptiste. Not for power, but for direction. 1. A candle touched by the ancestors. Light a single white candle at the hour before dawn. Not to summon, but to reveal what hides in shadow. Another finger. 2. Earth from the place you fell. Take a handful of dirt from the lawn where he threw you. His hunger touched that ground. It will point the way. A 3rd finger. 3. A drop of your own blood. Her eyes softened. Just 1 drop. He tasted your spirit already. This will let you taste his path. The fog around us began to pulse, like a heartbeat. Marie continued. Place the earth in your palm. Let the blood fall upon it. Hold the candle flame close, and whisper his true name. I frowned. You never told me his name. Her voice cracked, because I never spoke it aloud after I bound him. But you must. She leaned in, her lips almost touching my ear, and she whispered it, a name that felt like a wound, a name that tasted like iron and sorrow, a name that made the tombs around us tremble. When she pulled back, her eyes were wet. Spake his name into the flame. The smoke will twist toward him. Follow it, but do not let it touch you. The fog surged, swirling violently now. And Obasi, once you begin this ritual, he will know you are coming. The candle in my hand flickered to life on its own. The Queen of New Orleans faded back into the mist, and I was alone in the cemetery, holding the tools to track a monster born from her blood. This is your dawn ritual moment, a scene your audience will feel in their bones. BAZE alone, the sky bruised with early light, the Queen's warning still echoing in his spirit. Dawn in New Orleans doesn't rise. It creeps, slow and heavy, like the city is deciding whether it wants to wake up at all. I stood in my backyard, barefoot in the dew-wet grass, the air cool enough to sting my lungs, the sky still dark, a thin line of gray. This was the hour Marie Laveaux told me to choose, the hour when spirits listen. I set the white candle on the ground. Its flame flickered even before I lit it, like it already knew what was coming. In my other hand, I held the dirt, scooped from where the walker threw me, where his hunger touched the earth. My palm tingled. The soil felt warm, almost alive. I took a slow breath. "All right, BAZE," I whispered to myself. "Let's see if you're ready for this." I pricked my finger, just enough for a single drop to fall onto the dirt. The moment it touched, the ground trembled beneath my feet. The candle flared to life on its own, a tall, white flame that didn't sway with the wind. The air thickened, the world went quiet, and then I spoke his name. The name Marie Laveaux whispered into my ear. The name she hadn't spoken since she bound him. A name that tasted like sorrow and iron. The flame snapped sideways, violently, pointing east like a compass possessed. Smoke twisted upward, then bent sharply, forming a long, thin trail stretching toward the horizon. Toward him, my heart hammered. The smoke pulsed once, twice, then surged forward like it was being pulled. I stepped toward it. But the moment my foot crossed the line of the candle's light, the smoke recoiled. And a voice whispered behind me, a voice I recognized, a voice that should have been impossible. "Obasi," I froze. The walker without a shadow was speaking through the smoke. "I see you now." The candle flame snapped black for a heartbeat, then roared back to life. The smoke shot forward again, pointing the way. The ritual had worked. But now he knew, and he was waiting. The smoke trail led me to the edge of the city, an abandoned streetcar barn swallowed by vines and rust. The sun was barely up, bleeding pale light through broken windows. The air inside was cold, too cold. I stepped forward, each footfall echoing like a heartbeat in a tomb. "I know you're here." My voice shook, but I stood tall. A shadow peeled itself off the far wall, long, thin, wrong. It stretched, twisted, and then folded into the shape of a man with no shadow of his own. The walker, his voice was soft, almost gentle. "Obasi, you followed the smoke?" I swallowed hard. Marie Laveaux told me the truth. He tilted his head. "Did she tell you I was her son? Or her mistake?" His face flickered for a moment. I saw a young man, scared, lost, human. Then the hunger swallowed him again. I raised my hand, the candle flame still burning in my palm. "I'm here to stop you." He stepped closer, eyes glowing like dying embers. "You can't stop hunger, Obasi. You can only feed it." The shadows around him writhed like starving animals. I held the flame higher. "Your mother loved you." That stopped him. Just for a second. His face twisted, pain, rage, longing, all fighting inside him. "She loved the boy I was, not the thing I became." The shadows surged. He lunged. I thrust the candle forward, the flame flared white, brighter than the sun, slamming into him like a wave of light. He screamed not in anger, but in heartbreak. The shadows peeled away from him, burning off like smoke in a furnace. For the first time, I saw him clearly. A young man, tired, terrified, alone. He fell to his knees. "Obasi, I don't want to be this anymore." My throat tightened. "Then let me help you." He looked up at me, tears of black smoke running down his face. "There's only one way." The shadows behind him rose again, furious, desperate, trying to reclaim him. He grabbed my wrists, pulling the candle flame toward his chest. "End it, please." I shook my head, tears burning my eyes. "I can't. My mother couldn't." "You must." The shadows screamed. He pressed the flame to his heart. Light exploded. The barn shook. Glass shattered. The shadow shrieked and dissolved into nothing. When the light faded, he was gone. Okay, only a scorch mark remained on the floor, the shape of a young man curled in on himself, as if he died crying. The candle went out, the air grew still, and then I heard her, Marie Laveau's voice, soft as a broken prayer. "Thank you, child." I turned, but she wasn't there. Only the wind, only the grief, only the weight of what I had done. I fell to my knees in the empty barn, the morning sun rising through the broken windows, warming nothing but the ashes of a mother's secret, and the man who had ended her son's suffering. The sun was fully up by the time I walked out of that ruined streetcar barn. My clothes were torn, my hands were shaking, and the scorch mark burned behind my eyes. The shape of a young man curled in on himself burned behind my eyes. I didn't call the NOPD. I didn't have to. They were already waiting. 2 cruisers, lights off, engines running low. Detective Rennell stepped out first. He took one look at me and frowned. "BAZE, you look like hell." I swallowed hard. Been there. Came back. He walked past me into the barn. I didn't follow. A moment later, I heard him stop. He saw the scorch mark. He saw the ash. He saw the place where Marie Laveau's son died for the second time. "Jesus," he whispered. "What happened here?" I didn't answer. He turned to me, eyes narrowing. "BAZE, where's the suspect? The thing that attacked you? The one tied to the stolen artifact?" I looked down at my hands, still trembling, still warm from the candle flame. "He's gone," I said quietly. Renaud stepped closer. "Gone where?" I forced myself to meet his eyes. I ended it. Silence. The kind of silence that feels like judgment. The kind that feels like grief. Renaud's jaw tightened. "You killed him?" I shook my head slowly. "No, he asked me to." Renaud stared at me, searching my face for a lie, a joke, anything that made sense. But nothing about this morning made sense. He rubbed his forehead. "BAZE, you know I can't put that in a report." "I know. What do you expect me to tell the captain?" I took a long breath. "Tell him the threat is gone. Tell him the artifact is still missing. Tell him the case is closed." Renaud looked back at the scorch mark. "BAZE, what was he?" I hesitated. A monster? A curse? A mistake? A son? None of those words felt right. So I told him the only truth that mattered. He was someone who suffered too long. Renaud didn't speak again. He just nodded slow, heavy, and walked back to his cruiser. As he drove away, I stood alone in the morning light, the weight of what I'd done settling into my bones. The city was safe, the hunger was gone, but the sadness stayed. And somewhere in the quiet breeze that passed through the broken windows, I heard Marie Laveau's voice one last time. "Thank you, child. Even queens grieve."